listening to From Market to Table. I'm Dave Knopp.
I'm Kathy Willis.
And I'm Sarah Graham.
And today we're going to start you out with a pan-seared salmon. And I want you to know you can also do this on the grill, but because we're indoors, we're going to do it in the pan. I have some oil heating up in my pan. And I'm going to salt and pepper. And what I used today was some fresh Alaskan salmon, sockeye.
Looks nice.
Yes, you can see
nice
the difference
deep color
between a farm raised and a fresh Alaskan, the redness versus like kind of a pale pink or peaches with the farm raised, which I like the farm raised too, but I like this a little better. My kids don't like this because there's bones in it. And there I use what is called a magic salmon seasoning, and this is a blackening seasoning.
Lots of flavor.
We're going to take our fillets and put them skin side down into our preheated pan. You want to heat the pan to a high heat, and you want to leave it on there for the first 30 or seconds or so that the salmon's in, because the salmon's going to drop the temperature in the pan. And then after that, you're going to turn it down to a medium high. And I like to use a lid because it cooks faster for the show. So we're going to let that go for about 3 minutes, and while that's going on, Sarah, if you want to get started on your layered taco dip.
I will do that.
Salad.
All right. Yeah, today I'm doing a layered taco salad, and summer picnic season is almost upon us. So this is a great recipe to take to a summer picnic or to make the day before and have ready to just pull out of your fridge and serve to guests. Nobody likes to be stuck in the kitchen in the summer when we can be outside. So this layered taco salad, basically you want to start with a pound of extra lean ground meat, and you're going to brown that with a small can of green chilies that you'll drain first, and just brown that completely, drain the fat, put it in the fridge, and that needs to cool completely. You don't want it to be warm or hot or anything like that. So I had my ground meat, actually made it yesterday, and we're going to put that in our pan here in a minute. One of the ingredients that we need for this is a homemade ranch sour cream mayonnaise. So I'm going to go ahead and make the ranch sour cream mayonnaise before we get started with our layering. So we're going to use 3/4 of a cup of real mayonnaise, and I love this Wild Harvest organic mayonnaise. Anytime we can get organic ingredients, and even though I love the fake stuff, the ingredients are much better. And this is actually 3/4 of a cup. I don't have a 3/4 cup measure, so. Putting it into a cup measure and just not filling it the whole way. All right, it's 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise, and then 1/4 of a cup of full fat sour cream. Again, nice organic sour cream. Dairy products are really important to get organic.
While you're doing that, we're just gonna, this is cooked pretty thoroughly. Now we're gonna flip it over and let it cook for 2 to 3 minutes, depending on how you want it done. And like any kind of protein, you can press on it and feel how firm it is, and the more firm it is, the more done it is. The more give it gives, the more less done it would be. And you don't want to cook salmon well done. It's best served medium, so we're going to try to do that today.
Okay. All right, so the next thing you can make, if you Google like homemade ranch dip mix, you can find all the ingredients to make this if you don't want to buy the prepackaged one. But then just get a ranch packet. You won't use the whole thing. I recommend just starting to mix it up and then just taste it and see if it has enough flavor for you. There's a ton of flavor in this layered taco salad, so you don't need it to be too strong of a flavor. Just going to mix that up. and then set it aside. You all set, David?
We are. So there we have our salmon cooked to approximately a medium.
Anybody here?
Spoon. Or spoon.
Spoon here.
I have this one, this big one.
All right. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you.
That'll work. Yeah.
So then you can choose any topping that you like to put on afterwards. Today I'm going to use a peach pineapple salsa, which I think
Oh, looks wonderful.
perfect flavor to mix with that. And again, you can do this on your grill. You may want to put a sheet of aluminum foil down, or if you have a grilling pan for fish, use that. Because once you flip it the non-skin side, it can break apart on your grill. So there you have it.
That
Nice.
looks delicious. I think that the
so
spices
quick. Yeah.
and then the
Yes.
sweetness of that salsa, that'll be a nice flavor, really nice flavor. Okay. I went ahead and spread the meat in the bottom of the 9x13 pan. My pan's a little bit larger than 9x13, so as you can see, it's a little sparse. So next time I might use 1.5 pounds. Actually, anytime I brown ground meat, I always do 2 pounds, and whatever I don't need, I set aside, and then we
Don't worry.
can have tacos for lunch
Don't pick it
or
up.
beef rolls or something like that. So, all right. So we put our first
hand
layer
out, yeah.
down, and then we're going to do, the next thing we have is iceberg lettuce. Any other lettuce would wilt, and we don't want that. So we're going to just layer the iceberg lettuce leaves into the pan and completely cover up the beef. You know, normally I wouldn't recommend an iceberg lettuce because it's essentially water and void of nutrients. However, if the only salad you will eat is iceberg lettuce, better than not eating any salad at all. So I'm really going to layer this up just to completely cover up the beef. We'll give a nice crunch in there too. All right, so my beef's all covered up. Then I'm going to do about half of our ranch mayonnaise that we made. Just spread it out. Because wherever people scoop from or wherever you cut, you want to make sure everybody gets all the flavors. So spread this out along your entire layer of lettuce. All right, there's half of that. Then the next layer is beans. So you can get whatever your favorite types of beans are. I like black beans, and I drained and rinsed these. You'll notice when you rinse beans that it'll get bubbly or foamy, and that is the naturally occurring phytic acid in the beans, and that's the part that makes you gassy. So if you rinse your beans before you cook them, it will eliminate that, which is something that we would all appreciate, I'm sure.
That's a good thing to know.
Yes. All right, then corn. Organic is important with corn as well. If it's not organic, you can pretty much guarantee it's genetically modified if that's something you're concerned about. It's the entire Okay, thank you. All right, then the next thing is green or purple onions.
The nice thing about buying organic is the cost has really come down. It used to be such a massive difference. There
Yes.
still is a difference, but it's not what it once was.
Yes, yep, definitely. All right, then we're going to do another layer of our lettuce. That is the one really nice thing about head lettuce. It has such a good crunch. So sometimes you want to use it just for to have that crunch in whatever it is that you're eating. As you can see, we're almost going to use this whole head of lettuce. I did peel away the outside layers that were already a little bit wilty. I'm going to make sure everything we're putting on is nice and crisp. I'm having a hard time gripping these leaves today. It's all right, doesn't have to look pretty. Not going to see it. This is not the top of it, thankfully, huh? All right, so we're completely covered again. This is essentially providing a barrier between the layers so that things don't get soggy. Then we're going to do the rest of our homemade ranch sour cream mayonnaise. So you can see, other than chopping up a couple of vegetables here and there, this is a very, very quick and simple recipe. The great thing about it is, you're going to tell you this at the end too, you're actually going to refrigerate this for 12 to 24 hours, so you have to make it the day before, which makes it nice. Again, for summer, we don't want to be stuck in the kitchen. I just spritzed myself. All right, so spread that out. And like I said, I always make extra ground meat when we're doing tacos. And if you have a big family like mine, you might have an entire pound left over to be able to make something like this for guests coming over the weekend. All right, then you can get your favorite salsa. I got the homemade store salsa here because it's so delicious and it's fresh. And I did drain most of the liquid out. I'm going to scoop it just to avoid the little bit of liquid that's left in the bottom. And see, this lettuce barrier is keeping the salsa from soaking our ingredients underneath. It's pretty clever little recipe here. Just spread that out. There we go. Alrighty. Then we have an 8-ounce bag of shredded sharp cheddar cheese. You can definitely use like a Monterey cheddar jack mix. You can use one of the ones that's labeled like a Mexican one that already has some extra spices in there. We're going to use this whole 8-ounce bag. It's 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. We're not claiming this one to be real low fat. But that's okay. It's summer.
You're out running around.
That's right. Running around, getting exercise, burning it off, right? So we're allowed. Okay, the recipe also calls for olives, but I'm leaving those off because I don't like olives. And you can also put bacon, but that didn't sound good to me today, so I decided not to do bacon either. But you would, of course, have to cook the bacon first, and then, drain the fat, pat the fat off, and just crumble it up, crumble it over top. Then next I have jalapenos. They call for sliced jalapenos. For my family, that would be a little bit too spicy, so I did halve them and remove the membrane and the seeds because that's the hottest part of the jalapeno. But you'll find that the actual just pepper minus the insides and the seeds is not too spicy. I actually might make quite a few recipes with jalapenos, and I have all the way down to a 3-year-old, and he eats all of it. So if you're concerned about it being too spicy, you can always chop these up much smaller or omit them altogether. right. Then we have, this is just one Roma tomato. Roma is a nice firm tomato that will hold up well in a salad like this. You wouldn't want to use something that you would essentially smush with your knife when you cooked it because it wouldn't look very pretty. So Romas are good for dishes that you need the tomato to kind of keep shape and chop up nicely. All right, then I have the rest of our green onion to put on top. And these three ingredients just provide beautiful color for the top. And then too, if people can see the jalapenos, they won't catch them off guard when they take a bite into it. They can always remove it. All right. So you would cover your pan with either foil, or a lot of them come with these nice handy dandy lids now, and you would refrigerate it for 12 to 24 hours. And then when it was time to serve it, you actually cut it into slices just like you would a lasagna. And at that point, everything has congealed enough that you can serve it. And the recipe calls for tortilla chips crumbled on top. You can also put hot sauce on here if you want, avocado chunks, more tomato chunks. So again, a nice recipe to personalize. And as you can see, this was really easy to just throw together. The only thing you didn't see me do was open cans and chop up a couple vegetables. So hope this is something that you'll try out this summer, and I think it would be a hit at any picnic or party.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah.
Looks
Great.
wonderful.
Kathy, you're going to make a lemon raspberry pound cake?
I am. And I figured that this wouldn't be a real easy cake to fall apart. It's a very sturdy kind of cake and also very tasty. So one of the things that we're going to do is, with this cake, we'll make sure you preheat the oven to 325. Then we're going to grease and lightly flour our baking pan. Now we're going to use a loaf pan, an 8x4 loaf pan. You can also make it into an 8-inch square pan with this recipe. Depending on, you can always double this recipe very easily and use a bigger pan or 2 loaf pans. So I know there's all kinds of sprays, but if, we're going to I didn't know how well it was going to come out of the pan if we just sprayed it and didn't flour it. So what I'm going to do is use a plastic bag. You can lightly grease your pan. Now, 40, 50 years ago, nobody used a plastic bag. But nowadays, with brand new people coming out, they go, "Ooh, I can't get my hands all greasy." So this works very well.
Yes.
That's a great kitchen hack right there.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about it at all. And then what we're going to do is add a little bit of flour to it. Now you want to make sure that you're actually coating not only the bottom but all the way up the sides. So you can, when it's time to take it out of the pan, it slides out very easily. You can see that's pretty well done. I'm a little shy on this one side, so we'll get it up higher. There we go. When I do banana bread, a lot of times I don't do a whole lot to try to get the extra flour out. So when it comes out, you see this little line of sort of like flour on the edges of the pie, or the pan. So I'm just going to knock it out. Most of it stays in the pan anyhow. Okay, and then what we're going to do is, to basically get ready for this, we need one teaspoon of lemon peel. Now, there's all kinds of things to grate lemon peel, but one of the things that is the easiest way is, once you start to grate, go one way and go to another space. You really don't want to get any of the white or lighter colored flesh in there. So we'll go ahead and get this done, and we'll be all set to get started. So the other things that you'll need for this is cream cheese and butter. So it really only uses 1 stick of butter and 4 ounces of cream cheese for this recipe. But you want, like I said, you want a nice, tasty pound cake that everyone's going to love. All right, and actually that's just about going to give us a good teaspoon. All right. Now, the other thing is we'll get our dry ingredients together, and what we need is 1½ cups of flour, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I've put these all in here together so we'd be able to get them all mixed up. If you have them in a bowl, you could actually whisk it together, and you want to get it so it's thoroughly mixed up so you're not getting any clumps of either salt or baking soda together. Okay, so in our bowl, what we're going to do is we're going to beat the butter, cream cheese, sugar, and lemon zest. So this can stay right there. We don't have to move it again. And you want room temperature butter, so you can actually use the mixer. If you have a stand mixer, it works very well in a stand mixer. If you just have a hand beater, that's fine too. So this is 1 package of cream cheese, and you see it, we'll just cut it in half for our 4 ounces.
And that's softened to room temperature as well?
Yes. And before I add the sugar to that, I actually would like to beat it up a little bit to get it combined. You can see what a difference it makes with using that really nice room temperature softening. Okay, and now we'll add 1 cup of sugar. Get this pretty smooth, and you can see it's starting to come together.
It smells good. I can really smell that lemon.
Lemon? Yeah.
I read this weekend, there was an article about what fruits you should and should not keep in your refrigerator. And it talked about all the citrus fruits, lemons, limes, oranges, and also like cantaloupe, honeydew, watermelon, that those are things you should never keep in the refrigerator. That it makes the flesh like pithy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay, then what we're going to do is beat in the eggs, and we'll do that one at a time. I was waiting to give you the show.
I got ready for that.
Yeah. And you can see how much, with adding these 3 eggs now, it's going to soften it up so much more. So it's going to be very easy for us to incorporate our flour into it. And the eggs, too, also at room temperature.
Why is that important?
Just for being able to whip it up and beat it up easier.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any other major reason.
Well, I know with some recipes, like I got all of my mother-in-law's recipes, and she had a lady lock filling.
Yeah.
But all that was on the recipe card were the ingredients. There were no instructions.
Yeah.
And so it took me forever, and finally just Googled lady lock filling and all of the ingredients, and I found the recipe, and it was like the milk had to be hot. You had to combine these 3 things first, and this had to be room temperature. And I was like, I never would have figured that out.
Right.
And it was something that I had never made before, and I didn't realize how important it was. And even it's like the milk can't be too hot, but it has to be warm enough, or it just doesn't set. It ends up all clumpy, and it's like, well, try putting your bowl in ice if this happens. And I'm like, this is clearly a recipe. This is way too difficult for me to do. But I do it every year for my husband on his birthday. I make him cupcakes with that lady lock filling. So.
Nice. Well, you know, it's. I think all the recipes have their own. don't know what the right word is, innovative way of doing things. And it comes basically from over generations, passing
Yes.
it down and down.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is, actually I almost forgot. It wouldn't be the first time I forgot something. Once the eggs are all beat in, we're going to beat in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Actually, I'm going to take that back. We're going to beat in 2 teaspoons of vanilla. We'll do one at a time. All right. So as you can see, we have just a very nice, soft batter that's going to take our flour mixture very easily. And I'm just going to do a little bit at a time. And towards the end, I'm actually going to just fold it in. But I have to tell you, one of the hardest things, because it's a little bit firm, this dough, but the hardest thing to do is fold in fresh raspberries without, breaking
Destroying
them up
them,
too
yeah.
much. Yeah. But a little bit broken up does not matter. I said, and then that way everybody gets a taste of red raspberries in their cake. All right, just a little bit more here. And again, this too can also be done the day before.
Yeah, so you make your pound cake the day before,
Yeah.
you make your layered taco salad the day before, and then day of, you can just throw that salmon on the grill while everybody's hanging out, and
That's
you don't
right.
miss out on anything.
You're right. All right. Here's the rest of our flour. Now this is also, in this loaf pan, it's going to bake for an hour and 5 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes. And actually I made a loaf here earlier, and it did take a whole full hour and 10 minutes.
Wow.
But you want to be able to test it and to see that the toothpick, when inserted in the center, is going to come out nice and clean and dry. All right, we have, and I went through these already, we have 6 ounces of red raspberries. And we're just going to put them in there, and I'm going to do about half and fold it in and then do the other half. And I'll show you what I mean about nicely doing it. The other thing you could do is you could also save a few berries if you want to use it for a topping. Not too bad.
Now, would you recommend doing this with any other berry or fruit? Would it be just as good with a different type of fruit?
Sure, I think blueberries, which will be coming out soon, would be a great, that hold up really nice in there. Plus, they'd also, be nice and juicy. Blackberries also would work. Again, being careful, folding them in. But this really is folding actually very nice, and you want to get it mixed around. You don't want to overwork the dough, so it doesn't get to be tough. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add it to the pan. I usually like to try to get some of the more of the batter towards the bottom and not the berries, because if the berries cook on the bottom, sometimes they have a tendency of sticking there. It's difficult to get it out. I mean, you can always, with a knife, after it cools 10 minutes, you can loosen up the sides so it's not going to stick there, but sometimes the bottom. And that happens with blueberries to me. Like I'll do blueberry banana bread or blueberry zucchini bread, and it ends up just, sticking at the bottom. So
That's a good trick of the trade.
yeah, one of the other things that you can do with the blueberries especially is especially if you're using them in like a banana bread or zucchini bread, is to coat them lightly in flour. And I think in doing any kind of pie or cake, if you do that, then they have a tendency to stay up in the batter and not float down to the bottom. So,
Neat trick.
and there you go. You have it all ready to go in the oven, and we're gonna again bake this at 325 for an hour and 5 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes. And when it comes out, the loaf looks like
beautiful.
this. Now, it looks different because there's a glaze on it. And I put the recipe for the glaze on here. And the recipe is very simple, and it's very, very good. If you use a seedless red raspberry jam and some heavy whipping cream and some powdered sugar. So half a cup of powdered sugar only, and 5 tablespoons of the heavy cream, and 1 tablespoon of the jam. And it actually makes this nice, wonderful glaze that you can put over this. And I think I'll be using this glaze for a lot of other things.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
Kathy let me have a little taste test of it before we came out, and it's this perfect combo of like a little bit of tart and very sweet, and it's very, very good.
Yeah.
Great.
The other thing, like I said, you can cook this in an 8x8 pan, and the only thing you have to be very careful that you take it out of the oven sooner. So this is the 8x8,
And you can raspberries in there.
Yes, you can see all the raspberries in there, and I'll cut some of this up so you can see what that looks like while we're closing up.
Sure.
Okay.
There better be raspberries here. Oh yeah. Hey. You know, as I'm cutting it, I can feel the crust is sort of crispy, but boy, I'll tell you, the pie, the cake itself, and the inner part is just so soft and so moist.
Oh, that looks delicious.
great.
And there you have it.
Wonderful. All right, well, today you learned a layered taco salad, a salmon that you can pan sear or grill, and what we did with this recipe, by the way, you can do this for basically any fish. So I know a lot of people are scared to do fish at home, but it is easy, and once you do it, you'll be fine and comfortable with it. And we had an excellent pound cake. I'm excited to take a little taste of that.
Sure.
So thank you both. Appreciate it. Until next time, I'll see you at the market.